Good evening, Lizzie Boys, and welcome back to my channel. I wanted to cover this a few days ago, but I just kept forgetting to do it. But in case you guys don't remember, we recently discovered that Draculaura has a new variant, and I am talking about the G3 dolls. There is now a China and Indonesia variant, because Mattel has two factories. I've explained this before, but I'll do it again later. But for now, I wanted to talk about the new Clawdeen variant that has recently been showing up. So let's get right into it. So this image has been circulating online. Somebody sent it to me in my DMs and said that it was from a Discord server. So I'm not sure of the exact place where this image came from. I just know that somebody DM'd it to me and then I posted it and then it started circulating a bit more. So I don't know. I really don't know where this came from. But as you can see in this image, there seems to be a new variant of Clawdeen going around. She seems to have darker freckles and her eyes look different, as well as her eyebrows. Her eyebrows look a lot less blocky and more rounded, and even her edges look a bit different. Like her baby hairs look a bit different. There's more of a gap between them in the China variant, but the Indonesian variant seems to have them much closer together. Overall, I have to say that I much prefer the Indonesia variant of this doll. She just looks a lot prettier. I also wanted to bring to attention the fact that the Indonesia variant looks a lot more like that coffin bean leak that we had before. You know, of like the hand-painted Clawdeen. Man, it feels so nostalgic already just looking back at this image when this was all we had of what the G3 dolls were going to look like. It's just fun to see this again. But the Indonesia variant really looks a lot more similar to this doll than the China variant does. So I just thought that was interesting. I always like the topic of variations between products, between dolls. Obviously, doll variants are the most fun, but there are other collector hobbies that have variants. Like, for instance, this one Sonic figure I have, there's a variant of him. It's a Lancelot Shadow. I have the silver variant, but there's also a purple armor variant, and I really want that one. And it's kind of the same way with Monster High. Whenever I learn that there's a variant, and if the variant interests me, usually I want it, especially if it resembles a prototype sort of like this. So I'm just going to zoom in on the doll's face real quick, do a quick side-by-side. So obviously this Clawdeen being most likely a hand-painted prototype, she shares more similarities with the actual release, the first release of the doll, the China variant, especially in the eyebrows because they do look blockier the way they do on the China variant, whereas the Indonesia variant, as I mentioned, seems to have more rounded brows. Nothing else appears to be different between them. Granted, this is the only photo we have, and there could easily be more differences when we get to see the full dolls, sort of like how most people didn't know that the Indonesian variant of Draculaura has darker pink shoes. I covered that in my review of the Indonesia variant Draculaura, but of course I haven't found the Indonesia variant of Clawdeen yet, so I can't really make a review to compare everything. All I can do is make a video like this. But to me it's super interesting the way that they seem to have more closely modeled it after this hand-painted prototype rather than the released face. Of course, it's super minor differences. The doll's eyes look a bit more fierce, for example, and I really prefer the way the Indonesia factory does eyelashes, because you can see she's got much more visible eyelashes. They extend past her eyeshadow. It's especially visible on her right eye, as opposed to the Chinese variant, where you can still see her eyelashes, but they aren't as long as they are on the Indonesia variant. It's cool. It's pretty. I want to find this variant. I would like to see more variants out of the Indonesia factory. It's just really fun to see these differences. I want to see what they're going to do with Frankie. Because so far, this is two characters produced in the Indonesian factory who have had almost completely different looks to their faces as opposed to the China variant faces that we've been used to. So I'm hoping that the other characters will get the same treatment and end up having a variant face, especially Toralei. I really want Toralei to get a variant. Because right now, to me, it seems like Indonesia is better at eyebrows. I like that Clawdeens are a bit, thinner. They look nice. I like what they did with her eyebrows for this variant. So I'm hoping that maybe if Toralei gets a variant, they'll thin up her eyebrows a bit. I have nothing against thick eyebrows. I have naturally thick eyebrows, but I will admit the pencil brows Monster High dolls used to have, just so iconic, honestly. So back in the early days of Monster High in G1, it was very common for there to be factory variants. You can see a pretty stark difference between the China and Indonesia dolls, and it's harder to describe the differences between these two because they like look similar yet so different. It's like, I feel like the China face is like better placed in terms of like the facial features and such. It takes up more room on the face almost. But with the Indonesia variant, the eyes feel smaller and a bit more like squished in a way. That's how it looks to me. This was very common. Draculaura, I feel like, was the doll who had the most noticeable variants in G1. But of course, other characters had it as well. Although some I don't think ever really had face variants. Like, Toralei got one face variant, and it was in Ghoul Sports. I'll show you guys that. I'd say this is one of the most noticeable variants that we got in G1. Obviously, there's a pretty, like, well-known Abby variant. I believe the, I'll have to look up the Abby variant again, because I always mix up the factories where the Abbies are from. And I'm actually unsure which factories these Toraleis are from. But you can see that the one on the left features Toralei's like standard face, and the one on the right features one that we basically never saw again. They never used this like look for her face again, so I'm actually unsure which factory produced it. With the new Monster High dolls, like the new G3 ones, with these variants, you're able to tell which factory you got the doll from by checking the molding on the doll's back, because like the factory information is actually on there. I can show you on my Draculaura real quick. As you can see, this is my Indonesia variant Draculaura. If you just pull up her shirt and pull her shorts down a bit, you can see like molded text on her back. I'm going to have to hold it up to my face to see what it says. But it says that she is made in Indonesia. It's probably hard to see. It's kind of difficult to get her shorts out of the way because they're a much harder material than I expected them to be. You can kind of see it there. But yeah, this is the Indonesia variant of Draculaura, and her back actually says that she was produced there. I do actually have two variants of Draculaura here in the Forbidden Love dolls. I believe this one is the China variant, whereas that one is the Indonesia variant. So I could check their backs real quick to see if there's any text difference, but I don't believe there was in G1. So the first doll's back actually does say that she was made in Indonesia. That is this doll. As for this second doll, it's a bit more difficult to see due to the mechanism taped to her back, but her back also says Indonesia. So yeah, I don't think they would properly show where the variants were from back in the days of G1, because these two have very different faces, yet both of their backs say that they were made in Indonesia. Of course, it's also possible that, you know, maybe both of my dolls are from the same factory and are not actually variants like I thought they were. I just assumed the one with the mechanism she has longer eyes, you know, in the way that the Chinese dolls typically do, and the Indonesian dolls usually have the more squished look to their eyes, and I just felt like this doll looks like she would be an Indonesia variant, whereas this one looks like she would be a China variant because her eyes are like a bit longer. But, you know, maybe they're from the same place. I could be wrong. If I had both variants of this Snow Bite doll, I would definitely compare them like right now, but I only have one Snow Bite, and I believe she is the China version, so. Well, I guess I could find her and see if her back says China. Alright, so I found her, and her back said Indonesia. So, yeah, I'm assuming all the G1 dolls just have a back that says Indonesia. But yeah, it seems like these G3 variants are the first dolls to actually tell us which factory they came from. So, I think that's pretty interesting, and I'm pretty excited to hopefully find this Clawdeen variant and to hopefully see other G3 variants along the way. Because I'm pretty sure I've driven home to you guys how much I like having interesting dolls in my collection, from variants to, you know, just like messed up looking ones. I don't know. I've had a Bratz doll with a haircut for like 2 years now because I just think she looks cool like that. But yeah, face variants are a very interesting topic to me, and hopefully we'll get to see some more out of the Indonesian factory soon, because I really like their G3 like variants right now. I know some people aren't as big on the Draculaura variant as I am. I personally really like her, and I also forgot to point one thing out in my review that I would like to point out right now. Let me just stand her up again so you guys can see them side by side. So of course their faces are different, and their hair looks pretty similar. The Indonesian variant has much longer hair than the original, like, Chinese variant. I just thought that would be fun to point out. So we could probably expect something like that with the Clawdeen variant as well. Also, I find it funny that this is Clawdeen's third variant, technically, because if you guys remember, she did not always have the animal print shirt. She originally had one with a bunch of moons printed on it, a bunch of crescent moons. So, yeah, Clawdeen's third variant. This is her first face variant, but this is like her second variant overall. Although, I guess, no, it's 3, because you have to count the original as a variant, so yeah, 3 variants. That's what I meant. Pretty exciting stuff. I feel like I tend to ramble in these videos just because I have a lot of fun talking about different faces, different variants and such. Again, it's just a very interesting topic to me. Ever After High had variants like that as well. For instance, there was always 2 Blondie variants and I picked out my favorite one when I bought her. And it was just fun to be able to choose different faces like that. And it's cool that G3 fans will have that experience because Lord knows that buying Monster High dolls online is pretty difficult, G1 dolls. So I imagine buying the variant you want can be even more difficult, especially considering that everyone just wants to get a good deal online. Unless you're insane and are willing to drop thousands of dollars on dolls for no good reason. Though I guess I've done that over a period of years. But that's different. It was over a period of years. Some people be dropping $1,000 like in one purchase. The prices that Dead Phascolia sells for go crazy. Never look it up. It's horrifying. But yeah, I'm getting off topic. So overall, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Sorry again for rambling as much as I do. It's just a fun topic to me. And yeah, feel free to comment your thoughts on the Clawdeen variant. Are you guys excited for her? Do you think it's unnecessary? Explain your reasoning. I would like to see reasonings explained. It's fun to read your guys' comments. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and as always, I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!